Yeah, so welcome everybody. As you know, pricing is the fastest and biggest lever of profitability. The most common mistake, even in B2B SaaS, is that companies should pay more attention to the customer's point of view. In this webinar, we take you through a gold standard process to find your pricing. It uses an insights process called Implicit Pricing Intelligence, a method that enables even startups to precisely adjust their prices by asking only about 50 target customers so that growth and profitability are no longer opposites. So Frank, the stage is yours.
Thanks, Wolfgang. I mean, you stay on the stage, right? So Wolfgang hosting us today. He's a co-founder of Super Tools, and he will be carefully looking for your questions to immediately interrupt me, so that this can be as interactive as possible. My name is Frank Buckler. I'm a co-founder of Super Tools 2, and I have pretty much a history in pricing. It started 20 years ago when working for the largest management consultancy in terms of pricing. And it happened that I've never lost touch with the topic. And actually, yeah, by some accident, came across some research from University of Hanover, which led us take the topic and drive it to the next level. But let's start with this interesting topic, B2B SaaS pricing. And it's very actual because pricing has become much more important for SaaS companies, because the mantra is less about hypergrowth, but profitable growth right now. And to find the profitable way to grow, you need to know what's optimal prices, right? Where do you make enough profits on each customer? So let me first share the agenda, but before that, any participant here in this webinar, if you are in the Amazon countries like US, UK, Europe, main Europe countries, we're happy to send you a hard copy of this book. We just need your postal address. So send it to us per email or put it in a chat. So you're welcome. We're happy to send this book over. But it's if you miss that, you can buy it on Amazon. Cool. The agenda for today is, first, I want to very quickly touch what's pricing for the SaaS world. And then we dive into a topic which is typically overlooked when we talk about pricing. It's the topic of research. So asking customers and finding out what they are willing to pay. That's where we are deep dive what's out there and where's the gap. And we introduce to you, as Wolfgang said, a method which is quite promising. And we talk about 3 case studies in this regard for subscription-based companies. And we have hopefully lots of time to discuss your questions. Off we go. So I guess that the first 2 points, maybe 15 minutes, so that we have enough time for case studies and Q&A. But any case, any questions, put in Q&A box. The chat field is for chatting among each other, but questions to me and Wolfgang, put in the Q&A, please. Okay, let's quickly touch what's pricing for DaaS. So basically, the special thing about SaaS is first, you have a subscription price, basically a monthly recurring price, typically, or yearly. Right? And your costs to make it, so direct costs are typically low. But this is more and more changing as well. So all those SaaS companies who, for instance, use generative AI, they have lots of costs, right? Because the AI they build on, they externally buy in, costs a lot of money. Yeah. And also, typically, a software can be partitioned and can be described with lots of features. You can invent any kind of features. You can debundle a software and hundreds of features. So you are very free in developing kind of bundles, which is harder for physical products, right? So when we talk about pricing, oftentimes there comes the whole philosophy and the whole science behind behavioral pricing, which is psychology. And I listed here on the left some interesting things, like which is intriguing, yeah, like the font size turned out to be important. Larger font means higher price. Yeah, so if you want to make something cheap, make it smaller. Color, red is a loud color. So comfortable prices never red. Many companies do that wrong. The currency sign, the dollar sign, is associated with bad things, with expensive, basically. If you use the 99s, it's associated that you have a commodity product. If you have if you go in a Michelin star restaurant, they never have a 99, right? So if you have a premium or a product which is hardly comparable with anyone, you should not use the 99s. Complexity, yeah, confused customers don't buy. That's a psychological effect that even everything is great, if customers have too many options, they don't buy. So there are actually books with hundreds of those effects in it, but it turns out that most of them, the effect are minor, or they depend very much on the situation. And a good framework you see on the right, that actually they are important if you have direct access to how you display the price, and if your product is a low involvement product, then it's easier to trick customers over. Then basically more and more the first intuition is counting. So for SaaS, the left side is true, the right side is not so true for B2B SaaS, right? So this means the pricing psychology has not the highest importance. Instead, what you basically need to do is to kind of structure your offering. And that's a kind of a gold standard, structured in bundles, right? And the a simple benchmark way is to do this, to basically have a package which you want to sell. It's a focus package. And then you have a package that is you don't want to sell, you just want to have it as anchor price. So basically that increases the attractiveness of the focus package. And the same, the entry package has also an anchor point, yeah. But also it is basically the option that if the focus package is too expensive, we have a product that is allows an entry, and then you can upsell. So that's is a standard which which actually we at Superhero Tools also use. And oftentimes companies tend to make this more complicated for two reasons. First, packaging is, or these packages are used to differentiate between segments, right? So you do a package with some features for segment A and another features for segment B. And the other way is basically that you have different customer groups that need more or less of the same. Yeah? If you have, I don't know, in a generative AI, and the lower package takes 1,000 words and the higher package 2,000 words a month, right? So the volume, you try to use it as a volume discount mechanism. And the problem is basically it tends to become very complicated if you try to do everything in this framework. So basically the art of bundling right is to find a good trade-off. And the biggest or the thing you really need to think of is confused customers don't buy. Yeah? So in any, if ever possible, make it simple. But that's basically the framework here. And the big question is, if you have now structured your offering with packaging, what's the price? Well, what's the optimal price to choose for these packages? And actually today, you typically look at, okay, what does competitive offerings are offering, or you just ask people, right? And then you get a feeling, or you ask sales. But this approach is very qualitative, and there's little rigor in it. But pricing is the biggest lever of profitability, so it makes a lot of sense to do proper research. But research hasn't been easy in the past. So, and that's where we come to discuss what is a problem with market research methods to measure willingness to pay today. 4 problems. First, they are expert-owned. This means if you want to run a conjoint analysis, typically you need an expert. Yeah, there are even DIY tools, but yeah, if you want to use it, you have lots of questions. So it's expert-owned, and even in market research agencies, there are typically 1 or 2 people who are not knowledgeable in it. So, and if something is expert-owned, it costs money, it costs time. Yeah, it's how to set up workshops, whatever, you name it. It's expensive, as I said. And actually, the validity is still not great. And there are some research I will show you also in a minute. So what should we do instead? So actually, therefore, we should look at why do existing methods fail? Fail is a big word, but basically, how can we do it better? It's basically, we need to consider that buying decisions are implicit. So 95% of decisions are driven by intuition and instinct. Yeah, it's not that the decisions are not rational, but rationalization is guided by gut instinct. And that's hardly conscious, but it's proven in many different areas. And even in B2B, if you are in a field where 1 or 2 main one person has a main decision or influencing power, it is a gut instinct field. So if we can improve and should improve the field by considering system one, so intuition, then we should measure it, right? And methods for measuring implicit is EEG, fMRT, and IAT. IRT is, the first two are lab methods. Yeah, you need to bring people, respondents, your buyers, into the lab and yeah, put a head on and measure their brain waves. The IAT, the implicit association test, is something which you can do in an online test. It's a methodology from neuroscience which looks at how fast people react. And from science, we know that for a rational answer, you need at least 1 or 2 seconds. An answer which is fast is always implicit. The knowledge has been already in the mind, right? So this is called an association or right? So it just recalls it and you can push much faster. And from that, over many answers, you know what people already have been thinking. And that's what the new method builds on. Yeah. So in the past, we have two axes where we can put the methods in, which is ease and reliability. And typically, Garber-Granger is considered as being the easiest method, and conjoined was considered to be the most reliable one. But with implicit pricing intelligence, we now can merge both. We can something reliable and easy. And this is the key for democratizing research, to make it not expert-owned, fast, inexpensive, and valid. So, in other words, this method actually builds on research. The first paper on that was published by Steffen Schmidt, 2016. And we had success drivers. We took that and developed it further using machine learning. So implicit intelligence means that we merge implicit association tests with artificial intelligence. And both together makes it better, easier, faster, and with fewer costs. Maybe show you quickly how this in real life looks like. Let me share my screen. Maybe I go here in this tool. Do you see the tool, Wolfgang, on the screen? Right. And
yes.
Yeah, you see many different products. Basically, first you need to create a survey, basically saying what kind of audience you look for, right? Yeah, this was us, yeah. So, and basically you push a button and then you put the name. I need to log in myself again, right? You basically go in, name, product description, and a picture or logo of it, right? And that's basically how the respondents, the future customers, are introduced to the product. And as a next, you define the price points you want to measure. What's a middle price point, high, low price point? Based on that, it comes up with 7 price points which are tested. But basically what you see on the right is what respondents see on their screen, and the price is changing and this adjective is changing, and they simply need to say yes or no. It doesn't fit, it doesn't fit. Yeah, it's appropriate, it's not appropriate, it's risky, I want to buy it. So and from this reaction time, the method gets a sense of if someone really wants to buy it or not. And as you have seen, setup takes 1 to maximum 5 minutes, right? Then you can start it, and you can go into it, and you see the demand curve, which is the orange one, and the profit curve, which is the green one. But let's finishing up the field about the method, because last year University of Westphalia did a study looking at 13 different products, and it collaborated with different brands, which they gave also the real market share of those products. And they tested conjoint Van Westendorp, Gabor Granger, Implicit Intelligence against each other, whether or not it looks, the face validity looks good, whether or not it predicts promotion uplifts very well, and whether or not the demand prediction correlates with real market shares. And here you see in all three criteria, the implicit pricing intelligence outperformed the existing methods. If you want to see this scientific report, send us a note. We're happy to send this over. So in a nutshell, the report recommends that conjoint is great for product optimization. Van Westendorp is great to get a sense of the possible price range. Gabor Granger is great for a quick assessment. And implicit price intelligence is the best thing to optimize the price for a given product. That's about the research and the method. And now would like to show you 3 examples, and then we can go over and talk more about questions. Or do we already have questions, Wolfgang?
Not yet.
Okay. Okay, a few more joined. Again, put your questions in the Q&A. What examples do I have with me? So first, this is a SaaS product. We needed to anonymize that. But basically, it was brought on the market. And we measured the demand, which is the orange line, right? And basically at this point here, this was the existing price they had. And we found out that actually, yeah, you see that sales, there's no sales uplift if they change it. Yeah. So the optimal price would be 25% higher. And even you would not lose in profit if you further increase that. Yeah, so if you even could manage to communicate better that you have a competitive advantage, then eventually the price could be 50% higher. But that was pretty eye-opening, that the price, which was formally set by gut instinct, was basically out of the blue and far away from the profit optimal price. So again, as a background here, this was a product for full-stack software developers, and we interviewed 100 software developers, and they were interviewed by basically working with a B2B online panel, right? Very nice. So that's the first example. Second example, I would like to highlight that we used the tool SuperTools on SuperTools. So we try to optimize our pricing ourselves. So this was a pricing before the test. So we had an entry product, which is 900 euros or dollars per price test. A middle product, which is 600 per price test, if you do at least 10 price tests, credits, or 500 if you do 30. So basically, we used this more as a volume discount. This scheme. So what did we do? Actually, we simply tested the product and wanted to know what's the optimal willingness to pay and sales expectation per price point. And you see the orange one is basically, okay, we sell most at 300. Yeah. But given a certain costs we have due to panel costs, that's not optimal. But basically, for most cost points, yeah, we can simulate that. The profit maximum price is at 600 euro, right? So that's, and for 900, which was our entry price, the demand, is much lower, and also the profit is much lower. So, and this was built by interviewing 45 pricing research buyers. Right? Not much, but results showed the results are very stable. So what did we do from that? So basically, we simply had a focused product, built a focused product, which is now one price test for 600 euros. We eliminated the volume discount scheme, because basically, if you start scaling a company, most of your buyers are new buyers. So they first want to buy one or two or three. Yeah? Volume discount doesn't matter at the first time of scaling up, right? So we get rid of this volume discount and focused on this focus product, built an entry product where people who are not yet ready to buy can access the tool for free, but basically can only use the expert judgment tool.
Sorry, Frank.
Yeah.
I missed one question regarding your slide before, where someone is asking how the orange graph demand is created.
Yeah, the demand curve says basically what's the percentage of the people in the survey who really would like to buy. Right? Okay. So if there is 60% are potential buyers. So the whether or not someone really wants to buy, will buy, is moderated by some other factors, by many different factors actually, right? So the total sales depends on, of course, whether or not you do marketing. It depends on the type of decision making. Yeah? If it's a product they decide on the spot, it's typically higher. If it's a product where they need to internally discuss, it's always some big discount on the sales. So, but all those factors are just multiples, or basically they are just factors. So this means that the optimum still stays the same. So the demand is really can be seen as a relative measure how much you will sell. Not an absolute one, but a relative one.
Okay, another question is, do you regarding the first example with the SaaS company, do you interview users, those using the product, e.g. developers, or buyers, those buying the product, e.g. CTO or head of IT or purchasing department, or both?
So this it depends on your case, right? Who you want to do. Typically, you want to interview decision makers, which are non-customers and customers, right? And there is, of course, some difference. If you only interview customers, you are overestimating the willingness to buy. And if you only interview non-customers, you do not well meet your customers. So it pretty much depends on where you're at. Yeah, is your focus on keeping your customers and milking your customers? You really need to interview a lot of customers. If new customer acquisition is your focus, you really need to focus on getting prospects into the survey.
Okay, so the question is, so the answer is that it depends on the, on the case in this. What
Exactly. This was a new product,
I think,
so it was basically for non-customers.
Yes, and but they were decision makers, I remember. So people were asked, "Do you buy it?" And in every survey, the people are really asked, "Do you buy this kind of product?" So it's a screening question. So we have both. We have, and this is in most cases really relevant in the whole IT sector, that the people who are developing, they are often also the head of this project at this moment, and the influencer and the guy who decides, I need this product exactly. So here comes another question. How can I find a range where the focus package do not look like the want I want to sell? How can I make a range where the focus package do not look like the one, I think he means, like the one I want to sell, making the decision more intuitive for the customer's perspective?
I'm not sure if I got that right. So the focus package is the one you want to sell. You always want to sell the middle because customers have a best feeling by choosing the middle. Yeah. And that's a goal, to make the anchor product very expensive. As you see here, we have here an anchor product which is custom, which is basically the same as Pro but with custom service on top of it, right? We put this here, not we really want to be an agency. We just put it here to bring clarity. Okay, if you want to go to an agency, it's much more expensive, do it yourself, and simply by having a high number on the right, the middle looks more attractive. Right.
You can move on, Frank.
Right. So this was our case. Last case is here, another subscription. It's not SaaS per se, but I wanted to show this to you because it makes a very good point. So what we did is, not sure if it's have been launched worldwide, but here in Europe, Paramount Plus launched their new streaming service for $7.99. So and we basically applied the method and found what's optimal, because basically that's also a subscription-based product, right? So it's very similar for in terms of SaaS pricing. So what we found is their price, $7.99. You see it here, yeah. It's pretty much a profit optimum. So what's the catch now? The catch is that those large enterprises like Paramount, they spend 5 to 6 figure numbers, investments in finding those prices, right? They hire pricing consultants, do big conjoint studies, and whatever they they do. They know pricing is super important. They invest a lot of money in it. And now we come here with a tool which costs just $600. You can do it yourself and you arrive at the very same finding. So the learning is right now that now everyone can do it. And not only for the big blockbuster products, but for any product, you can optimize it because it's easy, it's valid, it's inexpensive. So the conclusion is, again, big brands like Paramount or in SaaS, if you look at Microsoft, yeah, they know the impact of pricing. They invest heavily in pricing research. And this takes months, an expert team, and 5 to 6 figure investments. And now with implicit price intelligence, you can do the same now for $600. You get results in days, not months. And you can do it self-serviced and don't necessarily need an expert team for that. That's my conclusion. And now happy to hear more of your questions.
So someone is asking, we are an agency. Can we use the tool in our existing questionnaires?
Yes, there is a redirect functionality. So basically, you set up the survey on our platform. You take the link, lead your response to our questionnaire, and we redirect to your survey. And everything is linked via an ID, which is exchanged in these links. And yeah, with that, it can be used in your surveys.
So Stephen is asking, how often does the market change and how stable are the results over time?
It depends. So if you have that's of course, there is no answer for that, because depending on inflation, new customers, yeah, whatever changes, right? So, and this is really different per industry, and SaaS actually is not an industry, right? It's a product type, but a software for farmers has a totally different landscape than software for financial brokers, right? So the question needs to be asked to the domain expert, yeah, and it's typically guided by competition, general economic framework, and marketing. Yeah, if you do lots of marketing, or your competitor does a lot of marketing or changes pricing, then things are changing.
You said another one. You said that you used 50 participants in this survey. In another study, I saw that you use 100. So, yeah, is this how do you ensure that the survey respondents are representative of the product's target market?
Different approaches. First is, of course, that we screen those persons you really want to have. So basically the decision makers. So people who want to buy the category of your SaaS product, right? There's a screener question, and that's most important. And the other criteria which defines representativity are measured. We have a four standard questions which measure main drivers of representativity, and they are controlled. So they are part of the machine learning model. So basically with this, we know whether or not the willingness to buy is due to the a shift in the sample or due to what they say. So it's very methodological, but it's a new way of looking at representativity, and leads to the fact that we don't need to interview 1,000 anymore. You arrive at the same results by interviewing 100 or 50.
Okay, so I have one. How exactly is the process? So how do you deal with if a new customer is coming for you and wants to do it?
So you can set up your account in 1 minute. Just go on our website, set an account. It's free. You basically go to the 3 steps. Yeah, define your domain, and then set up your product, your price stats, 1, 2, 3, whatever, how many. And then you start. You push basically start, and this is comes to us. We check everything and start the field, and depending on how many products you test, it takes 1, 2, 3, depending also what kind of target group you have. If you have a rare target group, it takes more time, but basically after a few days you get results in this dashboard.
So here at this moment, no more questions.
Okay, last chance. But again, you can reach out to Wolfgang or me, and we can have a one-on-one. And also we are sending over the recording as well. Cool. So hope this was useful. And I wish you all a great weekend. Enjoy time. Don't think about pricing this weekend.
Yeah. Another question is coming.
Oh.
No, it's not a question. Here's someone who is coming late and he wants a replay. Okay.
Sure. Thank
you,
Frank. Everyone, bye-bye. See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Enjoy. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.